Torah Samech Zayin, Kama, first part of Likutei Moharan, lesson 67. But there's Rav Noson's rule. Rav Noson says in the Hakdama to Likutei Moharan that you go for Torah, but afterwards it doesn't me'ir lecha anymore, it doesn't give you light. So that's your indicator that you have to go on to another Torah. Don't force it. In other words, if the Torah is not giving you the light, you can be stubborn and akshan, no, I'm going to go for the Torah until I suck out everything I can, I finish every possible thing. But if you're losing out your hitorut and your hitchaskut and hitlavut because of that, so it's Rav Nosson is indicating don't. And what is the term? So Rabbi Nachman in Sichot Haran, he gives the term 2 to 3 months, depending how big the Torah is, how long it is. That's how much time you should spend, 2 to 3 months. Rabbi Nachman put his foot down to say after that amount of period, you should already feel to go on to another Torah. And to work it out, that for example, if it's a big Torah, which Bezat Hashem, the next Torah is going to be a very big Torah. Torah Zayin Tinyana is super duper long, and that's going to be at least 3 months. But it's so long that there's a lot of hitchazkut, there's a lot of insights, a lot of chidushim. The time span, 2 to 3 months, that's what Rabbeinu gave, that it's enough for a person to heat up with the Torah. When you go for Torah in Likutei Moharan, the reason why you're going with it because you expect to see changes in certain areas of life. But Rabbeinu, who's such a professor of the neshama, such a doctor of the neshama, he, in his Ruach HaKodesh, if you want to call it, he brings you to this Torah for other things that you're not thinking about. There's an inyan of remazim, that a tzaddik, he speaks direct, but also he speaks what's called birmiza, with hints. And the main eitzah of the tzaddikim is the remazim. It can't be said directly, because the sitracha, the klipas, the yetzar won't allow it to happen. So it has to be, Rav Nosson talks about this in Chaim Moram, that many times the Rabbeinu would make a gesture with his hand or with his chin or something like that to indicate something else that he couldn't say Meforash. Why can't he say it in Meforash? Because if he does, the Yetzirah will now block it from happening. He won't let people fulfill that Eitzah. Whereas if it's Beremez, so then a person on his own with his Bina, Lavin davar mitoch davar, can understand what the Rebbe is trying to tell him and to gechapt it, to grab it and to do it. B'ezat Hashem. Fine. So this is the beautiful world of Likutei Moharan, and the more you go over Torah and Likutei Moharan, and the more you say the prayer on it, the more you become a part of it. That's the beauty of Breslov, Mamash. It's a different world, and each Torah is a different world also. In other words, each Torah has a mahalach, has a gear shift, has a perspective, has a hashkafa. When you enter one Torah in Likutei Moharan, it's a world, literally a world that you've never been exposed to. And then when you go into another Torah in Likutei Moharan, it's a different world. It's not like, okay, this is the book Likutei Moharan, and we're doing now Torah 1, Torah 2. No, each Torah has a number, but also has a title. You see, every Torah has a name also. There's Torah Aleph, it's called Ashrei. Torah Bet, and more konim. Torah Gimel, Akrukta. Torah Dalet, Anochi, you go on, right? Torah Hey, Bachatzotzrot. Each Torah has a number and a name. Why the name? And by the way, it's Rav Nosson who told Rav Yitzchak, his son, Yeshakoach, in the letters you see around Alim D'Tshufa, he writes to his son, Yeshakoach, that you are preparing for the next edition that I want to print of Likutei Moharan, that you're preparing a mafteach according to the names of the Torah. And he's encouraging him. What's this inyan? If each Torah has a number, Aleph, Torah Bet, Torah Gimel, why does it also need a title? The title shows that the Torah is a different world. It's not like all connected. The whole book of Likutei Moharan is not that's like a whole series. It's in a series. It's part 1 of the series, part 2 of the series. No. Each Torah in Likutei Moharan takes you to a different world. It's a different ma'alach, and you have to work to get heated up to connect to this different world. It's unbelievable. Each Torah is like that, and it's a derech and avodat Hashem. Mamash. Everything in your life is going to revolve this Torah. The more you tap into it, the more you invest, especially in the Likutei Tfilis. I don't know if you guys saw in the magazine that just came out on Lag BaOmer, Ma'ala El Yonah. Did you see that? There was an amazing article by Rav Shmuel Horvitz. It's about 2 pages. And there he speaks about the greatness of saying the Likutei Tfilis, investing a lot, hashka'a, in the Likutei Tfilis more than any other sefer, because that's really the key of all Rabbi Nachman's teachings is the davening. That's the eitzah of all the eitzot. And sometimes Mahit Boredu doesn't go so well. So the Likutei Tfilis is such a power, energy to open your heart to be able to talk. I saw, for example, today I saw a prayer in Likutei Tfilis on Torah 169. So Rav Nosson writes there, please Hashem, let these words that I'm saying now be as if I'm doing hitbodedut. You hear this? In the Likutei Tfilis, where he's talking about the importance of doing mishpat, what you guys are doing now, Torah or ganuz, the union of the mishpat. So it's important to know that the Torah Tetvav is connected directly to Torah 169, Kuf Samech Tet, and it's kedai to learn them together, to do them together because they're connected. They're directly connected. So in the Torah Kuf Samech Tet, he develops this idea of the mishpat, of judging yourself, because when you do the judging part, your mamtik a lot of dinim off of you. Keshesh din lemata, ein din lemala. So Rav Nosson says, Hashem, I can't do mishpat properly. Because she can do it. So let these words in the Likutei Tfilot, these words that I'm saying, be as if I'm doing my mishpat. You hear that? He's saying, Rav Nosson, I can't do it. But the person, he knows, he understands the person reading the prayers, that on his own, when he closes Likutei Tfilis and he's trying to talk to Hashem, he knows that it's hard. So Rav Nosson says, use the Likutei Tfilos, let these words that I'm saying be instead of these bodedus that I'm supposed to do, the mishpat, to activate the mishpat in order to clean and to cleanse and to mamtik dinim. Al kopanim, but that's I want to get to this point, that Likutei Tfilis is a hashka'ah, it's a mamash, it's something that requires you invest time. And not just to have a seder, I have a seder in Likutei Tfilos. It's very nice a seder in Likutei Tfilos, but it's not going to change you unless you take one tefillah and work on it, because every tefillah and Likutei Tfilis is based on a different Torah and Likutei Moran. And each Torah and Likutei Moran is a different world. It's not like, again, like we said, Torah Aleph, Beis, Gimel. Chaval, because you lose the point. For Bikiyus, fine. Rabbeinu said to learn Likutei Moran from cover to cover. Go Torah Aleph. That's for Bikiyut. What is Bikiyut? He said himself, until you know the Sefer Ba'al Peh, that you have the ideas of Breslov, Hashkafa, of what Rabbi Nachman says. Yeah, he says in this Torah and that. So you know, that's the ideas, that's Bikiyut. But to change you, to begin to become a kadosh, to become mamash ruchani, to become a tzaddik, to come out of your shell, that you have to be mashkiach. You take a Torah, you take a tefillah, and you work with it. You break it. You break yourself until you tap into it, and you see changes in life. It's unbelievable. You can't tell this to someone who's never tasted it, to take it. And anyone in the world, now that the books are in English, even the prayers are in English, even secular people, even goyim are trying to do this. I'm telling you, I'm not trying to exaggerate. I'm not trying to go off tangent. But so many people in the world are connecting to Rabbeinu's teachings because they're so universal. And now that all these farm are in English, even believe it or not, even goyim who are not avodah zarah niks, who are not idol worshippers, they're like Noachites. They believe in Hashem, but they're goyim still. They're now discovering this derech of avodat Hashem that Rabbeinu is introducing to the world. So it's mamash derech. Like Rav Tzvi Cheshen says. Rav Tzvi Cheshen, he says, you have two books in the world of the Torah that have prayers written on them. You have the Chumash, you have the Chamisha Chumshei Torah, and on them you have the 5 books of Tehillim. Why did David HaMelech write 5 Sfarim in Tehillim? Keneged the Chamisha Chumshei Torah. What does that mean? That David HaMelech in his bakashot and supplications, Hashem save me, Hatzileini, and all these words in Tehillim, he's davening to come to fulfill the Torah, to be saved from the enemies who are preventing him to fulfill what's written in the book of Bereshit and Shmot and Vayikra and Bamidbar Dvarim. All these physical enemies are really because there's a spiritual enemy. They want to wipe out David HaMelech, whose purpose was to reveal the Torah, to reveal Hashem in the world, the Melucha. That's the idea of David HaMelech. So his davening in Tehillim is to activate the davening on the Chumash. And what's that other book in Jewish history and in the world of the Torah that's like that? Likutei Moran. The Likutei Moran has also prayers on it. That's the Likutei Tfilis. So you have the Chumash and Tehillim, and you have Likutei Moran and Likutei Tfilis. It's something unbelievable. It's like there's never been really in the world of the Torah and history such an attitude, such a gisha. You have a Torah, and then to turn the Torah lessons into prayers, it's mamash a derech in avodat Hashem. You can call it that's a Breslover Zach, but it's an introduction to something very powerful, very pnimi, and something that the world really needs to experience and taste in order to survive. In order to survive today, this is mamash nachutz. It's something which is really necessary. Al Kopani, we just wanted to say this point because the more you daven the Likutei Tfilis on the Torahs, the more your understanding of the pnimiut of the Torah is opened. In other words, Likutei Moran is not just a pilpul and an iyun and learning and breaking your head to understand the Marmei. That's part of the picture. The real thing that's going to open up, that you have siyata deshmaya to open up Likutei Moran, is the Likutei Tfilot, mamash. It's mamash, the opener, the door to open, to enter the world of the Likutei Moran and to get into it and to see your life into it and to begin to do tshuva and change and everything. The main mafteach is the Likutei Tfilis. That's why it's such an important sefer. And like we said many times, it's the only sefer that Rav Nosson said, for every day that you don't say Likutei Tfilis, for those who've tasted already the beauty of these prayers, every day that you don't say the prayers, you're going to have to give a din v'cheshbon. He didn't say this on Likutei Moran. He didn't say this on Likutei Halachos. He didn't say this on Sefer Midah, Sefer Masiot, Likutei, all the other books that there are. He said it on Likutei, Likutei Eitzis, he said he wanted in the Hakdama it says he wanted the Breslovers to learn from it every day. In the Hakdama. But to give din v'cheshbon? No way. Din v'cheshbon is sharp. Din v'cheshbon, if you don't do Likutei Tfilis every day, you're gonna have to give an accounting. I'll bring on this table. You have to give a din v'cheshbon. That's only on Likutei Tfilis. Avram Rav Nachman, he added Likutei Halachos also. But Rav Nachman added it. Rav Nosson, though, what he said, now, for example, a person's in jail, and they say, you choose a book, one book, or Likutei Tfilis, or Likutei Halachos. What are you going to choose? Likutei Tfilis. If I have now, it's priority. There's priority now. I'm in a situation where there's no option. I only have 10 minutes to give me one book. Which sefer take? Take Likutei Tfilis. That's the key for everything else. Again, to remember what Rabbeinu says, Rav Nosson says, B'derech klal, the eitzot of the tzaddik are very difficult to fulfill. So there's one eitzah, which is the eitzah for everything else, and that's tefillah. But now the tefillah itself is like a heavy stone. So because of that, Hashem in His compassion, let this beautiful sefer come out. And Rav Nosson had the zchut of writing it. And he speaks about the greatness of these prayers that they're not expressed like anywhere else. It's the prayers on the Likutei Moran, which is the key for everything else, the key. If you want to look in Breslov history, they were mashkia, they invested a lot in Likutei Tfilis. There's many stories of Breslovers, they had their copies of Likutei Tfilis, you couldn't even read it because they cried so much, they used it so much and they cried over it so much that the letters were blurred already. You couldn't even read it. There was a story, the famous story of what's his name? Moshe Katzav? Chaim Sheshbo. It's a story of Rav Pinchas Kiblitzer. Maybe I'll say the story now. It's just very quick. Do you know the story a little? I'll tell the story again. Chaim, on which tefillah? On tefillah Nun Vav. Hastara shebetoch hastara, where normally every tefillah in Likutei Tfilot begins on a positive edge. Tikarna nafshi beinecha, yiratzon milefanecha. Normally, Ribono Shel Olam, Master Nuras, Rav Nosson starts every tefillah on the Likutei Tfilis with a positive edge. The one tefillah where he hits hard, why Hashem did you do this to me? Why? Is tefillah Nun Vav. It's unbelievable. Take a look in the Likutei Tfilis, Nun Vav. The words that were in Rav Nosson's manuscript, he wrote them in big letters. Lama, why Hashem you standing from far? Lama tamod barachok ta'alim beitot betzara. And the letters were metushtash, were wiped out because of his tears when he was writing it. And the Ktav Yad, the Rav Nosson on the Likutei Tfilot on Nun Vav, the letters were all metushtash and blurry because Rav Nosson was crying so much. That's the famous Vafilu Bahastar. It comes from that Torah, that lesson, that prayer. It's from there, which is a major thing. It's a major inyan, and Rav Nosson cried it on those words. But the story is like this. It's very important to hear this story because we have to get to the end. What happened to this man? Rav Pinchas Kiblitzer, he was not a Breslover. He became a Breslover. He came from, I think, Hasidei Skver. When his family found out that he became a Breslover, they literally wanted to kill him. Kipshuto. That's how bad it was in the Ukraine. They wanted to kill him. So he had to run. He fled. And he came to Rav Nachman, told Shiner what to do. They want to kill me, my family. He lived in Uman even. So, because he married into a family who lived in Uman, who were Skver Hasidim. So Rav Nachman Tolchiner sent him to Kublich, and he said, "Don't tell anybody that you're a Breslover." And because he had another Breslover, Starpechik, his name was, I forgot exactly the name, who was living in the area of Kublich to take care of him. So he was young, and he needed a parnasa, so became a Melamed. And without not once mentioning a word about Breslov, he was always giving over words of Yirat Shamayim. And the kids were becoming little kids in the cheder, Melamed. They were being transformed. The parents were flipping out. My child now, he gets up on time, he's davening, bekoyach, little kids, they're full of Yirat Shamayim. What happened? What's this Melamed doing? They were so happy with this new Rebbe for their kids. They were flipping out, the parents. They were so amazed. And they loved him. And he not once mentioned that what he's giving over to the kids is from the Breslover teachings, so the books of the teachings of Rabbi Nachman and Rav Nosson. So the class grew. He spent years with these students, a few years, 3, 4, 5, how it worked back then is the Malamed he grew with them. In other words, that a Malamed with kids were starting Kita Aleph, so Kita Beis, it was the same Rebbe. He was like a little room, a cheder, there was a room. And he grew, they didn't switch Rebbes, they didn't have like another teacher to teach the kids. It was the same one, that when they were ready for Mishnah, he started learning Mishnahs with them. And it came time for Gemara, he learned the Gemara with them. He taught them how to write also, they had Schreiber on the side, whatever. So this Rebbe was with them full time in a way, and giving them everything. So these kids were totally attached to this Rav Pinchas Kiblitzer. So after a few years, Rav Nachman told him, okay, now the time has arrived, because now these children are maturing, they became bar mitzvah. Now they have to make a decision for the rest of their life. Are they going now to take these teachings all the way and become followers of where they come from, which is Rabbi Nachman's teachings or not? So he gave them the instruction, now reveal to them that everything is from the teachings of Rabbi Nachman. So one day, the kids, he said, they were not kids anymore, they were teenagers already, they were bar mitzvah and everything. So Rav Pinchas told the class, okay, I want you to know that everything I gave to you from the beginning, that I was teaching you, from the beginning, is from the teachings of the Breslov Hasidim. So they went home, they told their parents, and it moved 180 degrees. As much as they loved him, all the parents and everything, they began to hate him. They hated him. Just they mentioned that the words were coming from Breslov. They didn't even think about emes, a truthful perspective. Your child developed, he became better. What are you so against? The pachad of Breslov being a cult, and that they're going to take away the children, and be careful, it's a poison, that even on the revealed level, it looks good and everything, but Beit Kasyat can eat away this pachad that was inculcated in the parents and in the people at the time. And just imagine how bad it was, the Hitnagdut. It was so severe that even if you saw positive changes, they would justify their arguments against it by saying, yeah, it looks good, but deep inside, what's going to happen later on when they get married and this and that, something bad is going to come out and sprout out. That's how bad it was. It was so severe. It was so bad. We have no idea. Today, Baruch Hashem, there's not that much opposition compared to back then, but then it was crazy. Literally crazy. It drove people nuts with the idea of the cult and everything. It was really bad in the Ukraine. So, the whole city became against this Rav Pinchas Kiblitzer, and many of the parents, almost all the parents, they prevented their students to go to Rav Pinchas, except for 2 or 3. One, his name was Rav Aaron Kiblitzer, who eventually became the father-in-law of Rav Yitzchak Bender, and there was also Chaim Kiblitzer. These were 2, maybe another 3, whatever. Very few held on. The rest, they couldn't. The family, they were so against, they pulled them away. 2 held on, even though their parents were hating them and like not giving them food to eat, nothing. They were making them suffer to stop going to this Rav Pinchas Kiblitzer. Said, no, he saved my life, he changed my life, I'm holding on. This is Rav Aaron Kiblitzer and also Rav Chaim Kiblitzer. And there was another 1, another 2, I forgot exactly. So, there was, again, at the beginning there were a few students who were not leaving go, and the parents were crying. They're saying, he's killing our children, he's going to kill them. What's going to be for our kids? So they didn't know what to do. So in the city of Kiblitz, there was a butcher, the Katzav. Not the shochet, the butcher. He had the shop of the meat, and he would cut meat and sell it. And the guy was very strong, very tough, a real airhead, nothing in his head, mamash amaretz, but he was a tough guy, a real tough guy. His name was Chaim Katzav, Chaim the butcher. So they said, you know what? This Rav Pinchas Kiblitzer, he was very, huh? He had a bad record of killing people. Who knows? If he was a butcher and he's tough, you can imagine what he may have done in his life. Rav Pinchas Kiblitzer was skinny, very weak, but when he spoke with fire. This Rav Pinchas Kiblitzer. So they said, this Chaim Katzav, he's a tough guy. He'll just like knock him like this between his eyes, and he can kill in one spot. On the spot, he can kill Rav Pinchas Kiblitzer. So they got all the chashuv yidden, the important yidden of Kiblitz. They came one day to Rav Chaim Katzav. We have to speak to you about something very important, a very important mitzvah, a very big mitzvah, and we promise you that with this mitzvah you can get your whole olam haba, your whole world to come. They said, what? I'm listening. What? So there's a guy here who's taking away our children from Hashem, from Yiddishkeit, from the Torah and everything, and it's a big mitzvah. He's a moister, and you have to kill him. And we promise you're going to have a big world to come if you do that. So he said, really? So for such a mitzvah, I'll do it on Shabbos. I'll do it on Shabbos. Because that's a big mitzvah to do away with him. So they said it's this guy, Pinchas Kiblitzer. This is his place. He has a little place where on Shabbos they get together to learn. They learn together. Shabbos Mincha is the best time. He said, great, I'll go and I'll do it on Shabbos itself. And you guys will tell me I'll have Olam Haba. I said, yes, we'll have Olam Haba and everything. Fine. So he got ready. It was the next Shabbos. So back then there was still not chashmal. There wasn't electricity in these little villages, shtetls in the Ukraine still. So by Shabbos afternoon, the candles already were burnt out. And like the custom was, the lights are off, it's dark. And they're learning Likutei Moran off by heart. They're all learning together in this Dveikis Nigunim, whatever, Slash Lishit. So they didn't notice that Chaim Katzav, he came into the room. He came. And he saw, it was still not dark, but he saw Pinchas Kiblitzer, he was a tiny guy. And he said to himself, such a skinny guy. I give him one knock here and he'll be dead. Great. So I have time to kill him. So in the meantime, let me just sit down and see what's going on here. So he sat down and he wanted to hear what Rav Pinchas Kiblitzer is talking about. And like Rabbeinu says in Torah Zayin Tinyana, someone who has Yirat Shamayim, right? His words, that's a Gemara, Dvar Nishmayin, just Rabbeinu who develops it in Torah Zayin Tinyana, that someone who has Yirat Shamayim, his words are heard by other people. So this Pinchas Kiblitzer's words were coming like fire. Even though he was a tiny guy, but the words were like Esh, and this Chaim Katzav felt that he was talking directly to him. He woke him up. The words of Yirat Shamayim were penetrating this Chaim Katzav. He was listening, and every word he was saying, he was like dissecting him. This is exactly me, exactly what I'm going through in my life. All the questions I have, all the bilbulim, all the feelings of Yeush that every person goes to, all these difficulties, and it's exactly, I can't believe it. Rav Pinchas Kiblitzer finished talking, and this Chaim Katzav was bawling his eyes out. He came, he fell to the feet of Rav Pinchas, and he begged for forgiveness. He said, I was sent to kill you. Now, not only am I not going to kill you, but anybody who touches you, I'm going to kill them. So people were panicking. He warned anyone. Anybody who dares to touch Rav Pinchas, they're finished. Remember? So the exact opposite happened in that. What happened to this Chaim Katzav? He mamash went 180 degrees. He started to grow a beard. He was very modern, whatever, a beard, payas, and he became a big Oved Hashem. Rav Moshe Chechsnover, there was a Breslov, Moshe Chechsnover. He married a daughter of Rav Aaron Kiblitzer, who was a student of Rav Pinchas Kiblitzer. He remembers being once in the house of this Chaim Katzav. This Chaim Katzav, by the 1920s, 1930s, he was like already in his 80s. Because this story took place, Rav Pinchas Kiblitzer is by the 1850s, 1860s, 1870s, that's the time period. So by the time we get to now 1920s, Rav Chaim Katzav was already very old. And there's once Rav Moshe Chechsnover happened to stay by this Chaim Katzav in Kublitz. And he took a look at his Likutei Tfilis. Chaim Katzav's Likutei Tfilis. The pages, he couldn't read the letters. He cried so much over the Likutei Tfilis, this Chaim Katzav, this hard person, that there were non-stop tears. They ruined all the letters in his Likutei Tfilis. It was all finished. And all the pages were all crinkled and hard and everything because of the tears. He was crying non-stop. So I just telling this story to know that in Breslov, where to invest in Likutei Tfilis. Invest. That's the key for everything else. Mamash, kipshuto. Be smart. Don't be excited by the intellectual pursuit and all the shirim. It's good that there's shirim and everything. But remember that you have to have time in the day to invest in the Likutei Tfilis and do a major hashka in this. It's very important. Your hitbodedut will be different. Your Yirat Shamayim will be different. Your emunah will be different. Your davening, your whole life will be different. Mamash, because now you're davening about it using Rav Noson's prayers, which, as he said, they come from the 50th gate. They're higher than Ruach Hakodesh. These prayers. Anyone like Rav Michal Dorfman once told me. Rav Michal told me that Rabbeinu says in Likutei Moran, Tehillim. You have to find yourself in Tehillim. In other words, when saying Tehillim, find what you're going through in life in the book of Tehillim. So it's a work, it's an avodah. He told me, Michal, by Likutei Tfilis, you don't have to look. You just open and you see yourself immediately. That's the beauty of Likutei Tfilis. Mamash. Kipshuto. I had to say this in Hakdama because this is really the key for being the bina, the understanding should be developed. It's davka through davening, through tefillah, through hashka and tefillah. They just say a story about the Chazon Ish, that there were times they saw that that when he encountered a difficulty in the Gemara that he was learning, or in Halacha and Be'iyun, what would he do? He would get up, and also they say about the Rav of Yerushalayim, or Rav Diskin, that they would get up, they would give a coin to tzedakah, they would daven to Hashem, open my eyes that I can see, and they go back and they would see clearly what was difficult. In other words, davening is the key for moving things in life, for moving in yediyas and understanding, and also what's happening in life, to get shidduchim moving and parnasa and health and everything. Davening is what moves the walls. That's the key. When you know that and you believe that, you have everything made in life, because you know whenever you have something in life, you're going to quickly use the weapon, which is davening. All right. So now we're going to continue. We're going to try to finish this Torah, whatever we can get to, at least this section. Let's see how far we can get. B'ezrat Hashem. Okay, we're holding in Sif Vav. Torah Samech Zayin, Sif Vav. In the middle. Mamash, it's a long Sif. Sif Vav is a bit long. So it begins, the part which begins in Sif Vav, paragraph 6, right? V'zeh bechinat se'arot klu'in. He's going to start talking about the idea of twisted hair. The word in English, the proper English word is called matted. I don't know what that means, matted hair. Matted hair, I guess that their hair comes out from the body tangled. It doesn't come out separate. Each hair normally comes out one, but you have hairs that come tangled. And he's going to explain why this happens. You see that? V'zeh bechinat sarot kluin. You guys see that? And see, in the middle of Sif Vav, mamash, in the middle, because it's a long Sif. So somewhere towards the middle, v'zeh bechinat sarot kluin shenimtzayin bivnei adam shekorin koltenis in Yiddish. You see that? Yeah, everyone's okay? Show them where it is. It's you have on the top here. It's over here. It's on the top. Where is it? You need the right page. 1 second. Okay, fine. Now this is the idea of hair, which is called twisted, which is common by certain people. Shekorin koltenis. In Yiddish, it's called koltenis, and that's the word. Even if you took a look in the Kitzur Shulchan Aruch, that's the word. Koltenis in Yiddish. Sha'olam chosheshin lekatzetzam. The world, they say it's a danger, it's a sakana to cut them. Rather, rak she'yiplud me'alehem. Let the hairs that are koltenis fall by themselves. Hainu. What is the idea of the hair, first of all? What is the idea that it becomes twisted? When a person has too much excess in the brain, how it works in the body, that the body is always running on energy, and there are parts of the energy which come in the body through food, through eating, and sometimes a person eats too much, or the body is already used up the energy and there's more, so it's called motarot, excess, what the body doesn't need. So the body lets out what it doesn't need in many ways. Through number 1, asher yatzar, number 2, the nails, number 3, sweating, perspiration, and number 4, hair. Hair on the head is always growing, right? The hair on the head is bedafka, he said earlier, is the motarot that come from the brain. That's why Hashem made it pele, how the hairline is exactly where the brain is. There's no hair here, this is the forehead. There's no skull, the brain is not here. The brain starts here, in the back. This is where the brain is, and that there's a hairline which is mat'im and matches where the brain is. The Arizal teaches, this shows that the hair is the motarot, it's dead. What is the hair? It's dead matter. So it's pulling out the excess from the brain. And what's a pele? Because in between the brain and the hair, you have a hard thing called the skull. You have a gulgulit. Under here, you have a gulgulit. So how can you tell me that the motarot from the brain is coming out from the hairline if there's in between them something hard called the gulgulit, the skull? So that's a pele. That's something I wonder. How the body, we can't understand it. But our result says this is the case. The hair growing here is coming from the brain. What the brain doesn't need, so it pushes it out. It becomes dead matter, which is the hairs. So because it's motarot, and there's a rule that the evil has yenika. It's a term in the Kabbalah that the klipot, the evil forces, the sitra achra, they nourish off of the motarot. What's excess, what's not needed by the kedusha. So the evil grabs on hold in it, because the hair, even for example, to explain, even though the hair is dead, but it's still attached to the body. It's dead, fine, the hair is dead. You can cut it, you don't feel anything when you cut the hair. But it's attached to the body. That attachment is what the Yetzer Hara is always looking for, to have what's called yenika, nourishment. It uses the dead matter to hold on in order to gain nourishment from the brain. So they use up the motarot. Their goal of the evil side is to begin to grab from the brain. but they can't. They're only from the motarot. When there's no more excess, then the Yetzer Hara has no more grasp, and they fall. Watch what he says. Hainu, kishesh harbe motarot b'moach, when there's a lot of excess in the brain, and that's what the klipot get their nourishment from. Azai mutba b'teva adam. So Hashem made it that the nature of human nature in the body is sheyetzu sa'arot kluim. That sometimes when there's too much motarot, the hairs come out tangled. In other words, it's one thing that hair comes out. Hair comes out normally is because there's motarot. In this lesson, he speaks about the ma'ila of balding. Balding by the world is something very negative. It's something embarrassing. Someone gets balding, oh, he's getting old and everything. Rabbeinu says, according to the Torah, balding is something positive that shows that there's no more motarot, no more excess in the brain. That's why the balding is starting, because the hair on the head is indicative that there's too much motarot in the head. There's too much excess in the head. So when there's less excess, there's no more excess, there's no more need for hair, and the hair falls out. And then he brings that from the Idra. The Idra Rabbah speaks about the greatness of the moach of the elders. He says, by the elders you find mocha, shakit, v'shachich. I think we read it already, or it's coming up. That in elders, they have a calm head, because there's not that much motarot, and therefore by besave, you have karachat, he says. Why there's balding by elder people? Because they have less motarot. So it's something positive, he's saying, the balding. When a person begins to lose his hair, karachat, as he gets older, that's a positive sign. That means there's not that much more motarot in the brain, and there's no need for the hair on the head anymore. It's amazing how he says that, right? So now, that's hair in general. When a person has too much motarot, so Hashem makes it that the hairs come out tangled. And why is this happening? She'etzu sarot kluin, that the hair should come out tangled. Kedei, she'alidei kliutan v'itchabrutam, so that through the hairs being tangled, matted, and being attached one to another, connected, yinku b'yoter v'ikablu, they will nourish much more and take much more out. V'yichlu linok kol hamotarot harbe shebamoach, and they can pull out much faster all the excess in the brain. He's going to explain now. He's going to say that when you have a joint of items together, they accomplish much more than one. We see it from Mamash Siyata Deshmaya. This week's parsha, right? Shlach. Rashi goes about the cheshbonot of the meraglim, picking up how the weight of the items were, right? So when he goes about the mot, right? How they figure out the cheshbon of how many spies were carrying the grapes, how many were carrying the pomegranate and the fig, right? And Yeshua and Caleb didn't take anything. So there's 10 spies, and it's broken down how much each one is taking. And then Rashi has this whole beautiful cheshbon if you want to know how much they took. So then Se'ulmad, from the stones that they took and they put in the Yarden when they crossed, right? So Rashi says that a person, what he can carry by himself is 1/3 of what he can carry when someone else is helping him. So what happened here? 2 people lifting up an item, they don't lift up double, it becomes triple. It jumps faster. What happened? It's 2 people here. 2 people here, and they can lift up 3 times the amount of one person. According to the mathematics, it should be 2 people, double. Rashi says no, a person, what he picks up alone is only 1/3 of what he picks up with somebody else. But that's not the cheshbon in math. So this is a rule in everything in Judaism and in mathematics and everything. Then when you have a joint, much more gets out of it than what you invested in. I brought the example, the mashal of on Yom Tov. I say it again and again because it's an amazing mashal. That on Yom Tov, you're allowed to cook on Yom Tov. But now there's a problem. What if now I want to cook a pot of meat? I only need 2 pieces of meat for Yom Tov. Halacha says you're allowed to add even 20 more pieces of meat to cook in the pot, even though you only need 2, and the rest is going to go for tomorrow, for the day. And that's like Chas Shalom, the halacha. You're not allowed to prepare from Yom Tov to Chol, the regular day. So how could you allow to put 20 more pieces of meat? So the Kitzur Shulchan Aruch says, because it enhances the taste of these 2 pieces of meat that you need, the taste is enhanced so much better because of all the meat you added. But one second, again, according to mathematics, if I put 20 units of meat, so the distribution of the taste of 20 pieces should be distributed equally to 20. And the halacha says no, that the 2 pieces, they get much more than just being part of the 20 pieces of meat. They get much more out of it. It's a rule in Judaism that when there's a group, they pull out much more. So that's what he's going to say now. When you have a group together, when the hairs become tangled, they don't just pull out 2 hairs, for example, they get tangled. So they're not pulling out the excess, which are shayach to 2 hairs. They're pulling out like for 4 hairs, 6 hairs, 10 hairs. They're pulling out much more and let it happen. The body is trying to let out the motarot from the brain, so the hair comes out tangled in order to pull out more. They can pull out all the motarot, a lot, abundant, which are in the brain. For this reason, it says in the Kitzur Shulchan Aruch on the chapter on Shmerta Nefesh V'Guf, guarding your soul, don't cut cultiness, don't cut the hair that's tangled, let it fall by itself. What happens if you cut the hair? So then the motarot, the excess which is too much in the body, in the brain, will stay there. It stays in the brain and it affects the brain, and that's not good. The body's trying to let it out, and a person cuts the hair so it doesn't go out anymore. It's stuck because the hair is basically pulling out the motarot. When you cut it, you're stuck. The motarot is stuck in the brain. Because the hair is not twisted in order to pull out faster and quicker the motarot, the excess that the body's trying to let out from the brain. So now with this, Rabbeinu goes back to the opening of the Torah, how he started this Torah. Melamed shenatan ba bina yetera. He started off the Torah, so the pasuk from Bereshit, that Hashem built up Chava, right? Hashem put Adam Rishon to sleep. Vayiven Hashem Elokim et hatzela asher lakach min Adam. Hashem built up the rib, the side that he took from Adam Rishon. Right? So Chazal in the Gemara Masechet Nida, there's a machloket between Rav Chisda and Reish Lakish. Rav Chisda says, Melamad shenatan la bina yetera, because the word vayiven is a weird word. You're explaining taking from the body, which is not building, which is destroying, which is taking apart. And the wording he uses in the pasuk is vayiven. I understand that we take the rib and then we build chava from the rib, but the word vayiven is not appropriate there. Say first vayikach, right? But the word vayiven, how it's brought in the Chumash, is open for a drash for something else. And that's why Rav Chisda said that he's coming to teach something else. And also that you don't have the word vayiven by Adam Arishon, only by the woman. It doesn't say that Hashem built, constructed man. It says vayitzer, vayivra, but not vayiven. Vayiven is only by the woman. So it comes to teach something else. That what? The word vayiven is like bina, understanding. So melamed shenatan ba bina yetera. From here we learn that Hashem gave a woman what's called Bina Yetera, which is extra understanding. But now Rabbeinu explains it to be the exact opposite. Bina Yetera, Hainu. Look how he explains Bina Yetera. The pshat of Bina Yetera is a plus. It's a maila. It's an advantage. Bina Yetera, extra intuition, which is common. The woman has, the Gemara says, a woman has an extra sense more than a man. For example, when it comes to orchim, machnasat orchim, a woman can detect if the guest is good or not. It tells the husband, I don't want this person on the table, get him out. Because the woman sense, the man said, what's the problem? Let's do achnasat orchim. Let's bring guests. I can see this guest as like a thief, or he's a kamtzan or something. I don't want him in the house. He's a dangerous person. The woman has this sense. The Gemara brings that example. And that's an example of Bina Yetera. So a woman does have Bina Yetera. But Rabbeinu switches the wording. Watch. Hainu bechinat motarot hamochin. Bina Yetera means the motarot Yetera, the excess of the Bina, of the brain, of the mind, of the understanding. So melamed shenatan ba Bina Yetera, that the woman, who is the woman here? Who's the woman? What is this woman? And what does it have to do with what we're talking about here? So the woman, really, the Zohar goes very deep. If you look at the Zohar on Parshat Bereshit, on this pasuk, Vayiven Hashem Elokim et hatzela, it goes into say that the idea of Hashem creating Chava and bringing her to man is the Hashem giving to a man the Torah Sheba'al Peh. The woman corresponds to Torah Sheba'al Peh, and then the verse says Vayivi'eha, and Hashem brought her to man. So the Midrash and the Zohar and the Gemara point out that Vayivi'eha of one Yud, Vav Yud Bet Aleph Hey is Gematria 24. By the woman, Melamed Shenatan Ba Bina Yetera. What is Bina Yetera? There's a lot of excess. He's going to explain what is the idea of the woman soon. We explained it, but he's going to go a step further. By her dafka, there's what's called motarot of the mochin. There's excess of the moichin. And that's not good, it has to come out. Shemisham yonkin asarot. The hair gets its excess, it gets its nourishment from the excess. Shemisham yonikat ha'oivim. That from there come the enemies. We said last week that when you have these new leaders, the good leaders that come back to power, normally at the beginning of their memshala, there's machlokes. And you would have thought the exact opposite. If now the true leaders are now on top, there should be no machloket. He says, but because the machloket is rooted, the oivim, the enemies, they're rooted from the moach, and the tzaddikim of the generation are the true moach, and there's motarot. So the enemies is indicating that the motarot are now beginning the purification process of being finished, and they're coming out like the hairs. So it's only normal that the enemies come out. You take a look now, for example, from Shavuot we received the Torah, and there was Parshat Naso. Every parsha now has machloket against Moshe Rabbeinu. Ba'alotcha against Moshe Rabbeinu. Shlach against Moshe Rabbeinu. But the Meraglim in Eretz Yisrael, they were dafka, they were against Moshe Rabbeinu and Aaron. Korach against Moshe Rabbeinu, right? Balak afterwards, they didn't listen to Moshe Rabbeinu, they fell in. There's machloket, parsha after parsha, mainly against Moshe Rabbeinu. He's telling the Jews, don't worry, hold on, do this, listen to me. And there's machloket. Because the purification now is beginning. When there's true leadership, it's normal that there should be machloket, because now the purification to kill and to wipe out the enemies is beginning now. So watch what he says now, that the oivim, the enemies, they come from the hair. V'zeu, and now that's the first opinion. Bina yitera Rav Chizda, Reish Lakish, v'chad amar, melamed shekela'al lechava. The word vayiven, he says in the Gemara, Reish Lakish, b'krachei hayam, in the villages around the sea, they call kili'ah, twisting the hair. When a girl, she twists the hair, they call kili'ah bana'ah. It's the word vayiven, and Hashem built Chava, built the tzela, the rib that he took from Adam Arishon. So the word vayiven is like kili'ah, bana'ah, because they call twisting the hair bana'ah. So there's two opinions. One said bina yetera, excess, and one said kili'ah. So watch what Rabbeinu says now. Hainuhach v'la plige. They're both saying the same thing. Rav Chizda and Reish Lakish are really saying the exact same thing. Ki al yedei motarot shebamoach, because now there's excess in the brain. Sheze bechinat bina yetera, the idea of motarot of the bina. Mizeh ba sarot kluim. From this comes twisted hair, because the twisting of the hair is to let out the motarot much faster. Bechinat shekela'al lechava. What it says that Melamed, it teaches that Hashem. Just to explain again back in the Gemara, that when Hashem brought Chava to Adam Arishon for the chuppah, so Hashem braided her hair. Hashem did the work of braiding the hair. That's the idea of Vayiven Hashem Elokim et Hatzela, that Hashem braided Chava to decorate her, to make her nice and fancy, and to teach in the world that's the way of the woman to be decorated. She needs a decoration, she needs clothing, she needs all that type of stuff. That's how Hashem made it in the nature of a woman. But he's saying it's the idea of the kili'ah, that Hashem braided her hair, and Rabbeinu says it's in order to let out all the motarot, so there's the braiding happening, the kili'ah, the twisting to pull out the motarot. And dafkan chava, okay? So now Rav Nosson, look what he explains. Ki hakavod hu bechinat chava. He started the Torah in the beginning of the idea of the kavod, and he called kavod em kochai, that every nefesh is rooted in the kavod. That means, what he said at the beginning, that when a person gets in kavod in life, it's one of two things. Or chas v'shalom, to take away his nefesh, it could be a dangerous sign. He's about to lose what he has already. Or midat tova meruba, in the main, it's coming to give him a new nefesh. But the person has to be careful when Hashem sends a person a new kavod, which we spoke about many times already. It's reflected by many things, that you have a new accomplishment in life. You're getting up all of a sudden in the morning, every morning, this is great. I can't believe I'm getting up after killing myself for months. I can't wake up on time. All of a sudden I can get up. Hashem is like mechabed you now. He's honoring you and helping you to get this accomplishment. So you're in danger. I'm going to take the kavod, look at me, I'm a tzaddik, I'm a great person, I get up. Or you recognize it still that it's Hashem, I'm not in the picture. Hashem is doing this chesed chinam, it's not me. How you receive the kavod will determine how you get the nefesh that's coming with the kavod. Fine. And he said that the kavod is like the mother. That's why he says, Kvod Hashem yasfech. When a person dies, the nefesh goes back to its root, which is kavod. So because of that, the kavod is like compared to a mother. Ki ha-kavod u bechinat chava is the idea of chava. Shehi Hatzela was the idea of the tzela that's discussed in the pasuk. Vayiven Hashem Elokim et hatzela. Shebichinat em kocha, the mother of all living. That's why when a person passes away, the nefesh goes to the kavod. It's like the mother. So he wants to say now that the idea of chava is the idea of the kavod. All these are connected. The idea of kavod, chava, Torah sheba'al peh, and kavod ela Torah. Right? The main kavod is the union of the Torah. Meaning, your attitude in learning Torah also. That's the thing that comes underlined from here. When you're learning Torah, are you learning Torah because you want to finish Shas? I want to become a Gaon, I become a Tam Chacham? Or do you want to do the right son of Hashem? You have no idea what Hashem wants of you in your life. And Hashem, you put me in this world, and the only way to connect to Hashem is through Torah study. And as the time is very melacha meruba, and there's man katzar, and I have to do as much as I can, am I going to get sidetracked with the honor of, I finished one masechet, I finished another masechet, and I'm honoring myself? Or it's the honor for Hashem. So kavod is connected to Torah, which is the idea of chava, and it's very dangerous, that area. That's why there's a lot of motarot. There's a lot of motarot, a lot of excess, because it depends how you receive the kavod properly. Okay? V'zeh bechinat, and we're going to finish with this. This is what now Abigail told David HaMelech. David HaMelech was on his way to kill Naval, a Carmelite, the husband of Abigail, because he did not want to give David HaMelech and his men food to eat in order to make a seudah for Yom Tov, for Rosh Hashanah. And Naval mocked David HaMelech. He said, he's asking me for extra food and everything. It's the way of the slaves. They always try to take over. In other words, he called David HaMelech a slave. He didn't recognize that David HaMelech was the real king. He was saying that Shaul HaMelech is the master and David HaMelech is the slave. It's the way of the slaves. They want to try to rule and try to take over. So when he heard that, and he knows that he's a king, and that Naval HaKarmel is chayav mita, so David was on his way to kill Naval. David and his men were on the way to kill Naval. Abigail heard about this. She quickly prepared tons of food and brought it to David Melech, and she begged not to kill Naval HaKarmelit, rather let Hashem take your revenge. And this is what she says. Look what she says. Vet nefesh oivecha, and she was blessing David Melech, and let the soul of your enemies, mi Hashem yikaleena, put them in a sling. Look at the word, a sling. You know, like a sling. Yikaleena betoch kafakela. May Hashem take all your enemies, bundle them together, and put them in a sling and shoot them far away. That's what she was blessing Abigail to David HaMelech. And in the end, Hashem did it. Hashem on his own, Hashem killed Naval. This was right before Rosh Hashanah. So David HaMelech and his men took the food that Abigail prepared. They went back. Right after Rosh Hashanah, her husband Naval became very sick. He was sick for all the Aseret Yemei Tshuva. And after Yom Kippur, he died on his own. Hashem killed him. And so that's what she was saying. She said, May Hashem should take care of your enemies. But now look what Rabbeinu is adding a dimension. Look at this. The word yekaleena, which means to put together and then put in a sling, to shoot in a sling. The word for a sling is also the same word for braiding the hair. Keli'ah. Yekaleena. May Hashem take the soul of your enemies and wrap them together in a sling and shoot them away. The word for the kale'ena, hakela, kafakela sling, is braiding. Bechinat sa'arot kelu'in. In other words, what? Hainu. Bechinat itchabut hasonim, the joining of the enemies, which is the idea of the hair being twisted and the hair coming out twisted. Sha'idei hu mapatam. This is the downfall. So what comes out of all this is he wants to say that when a person has a lot of enemies, the main eitzah is not to do anything. Because that there's a lot of enemies, it's Hashem is trying to pull out and to swipe out your enemies on their own. Don't do anything. Sheval Taseh. When a person sees that it's not working out like this, and not working out like this, every corner I'm being cornered. I broke my leg, chas shalom, and this I lost money here, and this and that. What to do? Don't do anything. Because this is the bad is coming out. Hashem is taking out from the person all of the matorot very fast. That's why tons of things are not working out in one shot. Let it happen by itself, and it's being pulled out. So that as soon as there's no more motarot, no more yenika, no more handles for the evil side, then they'll cease to exist, all the enemies. That's the idea. Just Rav Nosson, in explaining this part, in the Likutei Halachot, there's a halacha, chovel b'chaveru halacha gimel. He explains that even for this though, tzedakah works. Because he talks about afterwards, the tzedakah of Vayvarech David, to give tzedakah the words Vata Moshe Bakol. This tzedakah also releases these enemies afterwards that are coming out. That even though, you see, what happens here is that when what Rabbeinu is saying here about that the leadership is giving back to the right people, and then there's machloket. This also happens to a person on a personal level. You have difficulties in the beginning, and then you have a major breakthrough. You see something great, and then all of a sudden there's more bad coming. So that the second time the bad coming is now the beginning of your purification, because you wonder, why is this happening? Like, for example, just to explain this idea, in Sichot Haran, Rabbeinu talks about someone before he comes to a tzaddik, the tzaddik. So he's like water, which is really impure, but it looks clean. The water looks very clean, like acid rain. You take rainwater from New York, okay, you put it in a cup, it looks clean, it looks okay. But once you start boiling the water, all the garbage starts coming out. It becomes filthy and lichluch, and all types of bubbles and everything is on the top. And you need someone there to take off all the filth on top of the water. So what's the nimshal? So Rabbeinu says, before someone comes to the tzaddik, he says, I'm okay, I'm alright, my kedushat abrit is okay, my eyes are okay, my emunah is okay, I'm okay, it's okay, I'm alright, I come to the tzaddik, I need Yeshua. Fine. So he comes to the tzaddik, and when he goes back, things just get worse. It happens to many people. People, they go to Uman, for example, you have these women, these funny women. Why did this happen to me? I came back from Uman, it got worse and worse. Why do I need this? What is this? So this is part of the purification process, because now something good happened. So the next stage of the purification is now they're going to cleanse you. They're trying to get out all the excess from within you, and it's coming out in the format of machloket, of enemies, of difficulties and everything. What to do? Let it come out. And if a lot of bad is happening, this happened, shh, let it be, because the Hashem is allowing all your enemies to pull out as much as possible, so that it should quickly fall, and you can really have the memshala. What helps Rav Nosson adds though is the tzedakah Vata Moshe Bakol, which goes back to the beginning of the Torah, that when a person says Vata Moshe Bakol, which means Hashem, I'm giving back all the kavod back to you, and at that point he says, at the same time he gives tzedakah, and we see the idea of tzedakah is tzedakah tatzil mimavit. The idea of tzedakah is to pull out a person from the klipot, from the death, the sitracha from the klipa. So giving tzedakah and then making the statement that Hashem, all the kavod belongs to you, there's nothing greater. There's nothing great. There's a very powerful tzedakah of saying Vata Moshe Bakol, and at the same time giving the tzedakah together, that really pulls a person out and out of the hands of the enemies. So if Nosson adds on this point though, that giving the tzedakah helps even for the enemies attacking, to give tzedakah at Vayvarech David, right in the morning, when we say Vata Moshe Bakol, that tzedakah is very important, and it's chabad that a person doesn't take it seriously. And I remember hearing a share from a Rosenfeld, and even the Ben Ish Chai says, if you don't have, for example, a tzedakah pushka next to you, and you have money in your hand, you have nowhere to put it, so you say put it in the left hand. At least do the hafrasha, do the separation of the tzedakah money at the words Vata Moshe Bakol, and put it in the left hand, and put it on the side, put it in your left in your pocket until a poor person comes, or you get to a pushka, and then give it. But at the time of Vata Moshe Bakol, do the action of the hafrasha. So with this we finish this Torah. It's a longer Torah, we can't finish the whole thing. We should be zocheh to fulfill everything that he spoke about in this Torah. And the good chazara is the Likutei Tfilos on this Torah.